Major Spoilers podcast covers news, reviews, and of course, spoilers, and goes into details about the topics discussed. So if you haven't read, listened, or watched the items we talk about, you might want to come back later.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Rodrigo.
And I'm Steven, and you're listening to the Major Spoilers podcast, the podcast for pop culture and comic fans.
In this issue, death takes a holiday, but let's hope it's not St. Swithin's. EC for Xmas, IGR at the APC Plus, aliens, I seen them. The season is upon us, and I don't mean Hanukkah, and I don't mean Christmas, and I don't mean the greatest holiday of them all, Matthew's Nativity. It's the time of the season for spoilers. And that's how and why the Major Spoilers podcast is all over your air.
Welcome to issue 1152 of the Major Spoilers podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and checking us out this week. What's this about a Chainsaw Man and Inframan and all of this stuff? Oh, here, listen. You're going to have to hear it all in the Major Spoilers podcast pre-show. You can go check it out right now over at patreon.com/Major Spoilers, and then join the Discord server for free and talk to your heart's content with a bunch of really cool fans. But while you're doing that, there are some reviews. Matthew, let's go back a week. There is a new Inferno Girl Red book out. You had a chance to check this out from the Image Comics.
I did. Inferno Girl Red Book 2, written by Matt, Groom Art by Erica Durso, from Image Comics / The Massive Verse, is a continuation of the 3-chapter Inferno Girl series, which I think was 2020 or 2021. Essentially, Inferno Girl, chosen one, she gets a bracelet that allows her to turn into a superhero, but the evil villains sort of win. And so her entire town, her hometown, has been teleported across the universe in this weird Dyson sphere bubble, and now they're trapped somewhere in space. She's the only superhero in this world, quote unquote, because they're stuck on this planet. 2 weeks have passed in the 2 years of the actual real world. And Inferno Girl is still trying to clean up the mess. One of the problems is that she lost her mother, who was basically her major support system. And I believe a previous bearer of the powers of Infernogirl Red. But this issue sort of establishes her new status quo. She's still going to university. And one of her professors, also a previous wearer of the Infernogirl Red power band, is helping her to kind of come to terms with protecting her city. The problem is the evil villain who tried to take over the world and end up teleporting them may have died, but his family did not. His son is still floating around, and that's not good. And there's also a mysterious pair of twins named Silvio and Sylvia who are up to the proverbial no good. If you have been reading any of the Boom Studios Power Rangers type books or anything in that realm, especially Radiant Black and the Massive Verse books, I feel like you kind of have the general, kind of the basics of the what I think of as tokusatsu comics. Essentially, this is really good. This is very, very well drawn. I really enjoy Erica Durso's style because it's weirdly delicate, but it's not misshapen. Like Peter Chung on Eon Flux, very delicate, very long, spindly figures, but also kind of gross and body horror-y. This is a lot more attractive, and more importantly, the story grabs you early and drags you to where you need to be. I'm going to go with 3.5 slices of meatloaf for Inferno Girl Book 2, number 1, which I guess is number 3. I don't know. 1 + 2. Anyway, Inferno Girl Book 2, number 1, 3.5 slices of meatloaf. Definitely worth your time, even at $4.99 for 48 pages.
Thank you very much. This week from Oni Press, it's Shiver Suspense Stories 2, number 1. I think this is a one-shot. 4 terrifying tales for the holidays. One of them is a remastered classic EC comic holiday tale. Here's the thing. These are some very interesting stories. I think that they are somewhat spooky, especially the first one that has to do with a kid getting mysterious gifts over Hanukkah and each one has a way for him to take out one of the people that are bullying him at school. And the last gift that he gets is a gun. Kind of gets you until you see the ending. There's another one about gingerbread men and why you should be a good neighbor and a bunch of other things. If you've read an EC Comics horror title before, you know what you're getting out of this. These are all holiday themed tales, and I think they're good. You've got a good variety of writers and artists in this. Every story looks different and feels different, and depending on your tastes, I think some of the stories work better than others. I enjoyed all of the tales in Shiver Suspense Stories 2. The biggest problem that I have is for 56 pages, this is a $9 book, and I'm not sure that there's $9 worth of entertainment in these 56 pages. I wish that this were like a $6.99 book or a $5.99 book or a $4.99 book for this same price. Because then I think it would be a lot better. The fact that one of the stories is a remastered comic that you can get in a lot of other places is also kind of a letdown. But if you're new to EC Comics and you don't want to buy a big paperback collection, then, hey, this is a great introduction to that. And these are good stories. I just am really disappointed by the price. Art is good. Stories are good. There's something in there for everyone. 3.5 slices of meatloaf for me. It's available this week from Oni Press and EC Comics. Rodrigo, there is a new Space Age in town.
Yes. This Space Age is not big enough for the two of us. The new Space Age #1, it's a Mad Cave Studios book. Kenny Porter writer, Mike Becker on art. Comes out December 17th. So this one is about an astronaut who became an astronaut because his little brother was abducted by aliens and no one believes him.
Mm-hmm.
The world the world of this comic is different from ours, so it's like space travel seems to be like maybe a little bit easier, but there's still kind of all of this like cuts to programs going on. So it kind of really seems like he's not going to be able to ever get up there again and look for his brother. And then some other avenues open up. It's pretty interesting. I actually really like this premise. It's if you're playing the game, should I read the solicitation? The answer this time is sure. It actually doesn't spoil the entirety of the first volume, like a lot of solicitations do. It basically what I just told you with like maybe a little bit more information. It's pretty interesting. I like the art a lot. I like the character design. Everything's very distinctive. It's colorful, but it's not like super wacky unless something very wacky is happening. But sometimes exaggerated art can sort of call a lot of attention to itself. I feel that Mike Becker really keeps it under control, so I enjoy that. The only problem that I have with it is I kind of don't like the main character, just in what he does and how he behaves. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, could we be following any of these other slightly more interesting characters? The answer is, of course, not. He's the main character. Everything revolves around him. That's not really like, it's not a deal breaker because there are other characters that are interesting. I'm going to give it 3 slices of meatloaf, definitely above average. I would recommend it, and I'm curious to see what #2 brings.
Very cool. And this is from Mad Cave Studios, coming out on the 17th. So you got a week to go grab this one. I was looking at this the other day when they sent it, and the art looks rather distinctive. And it looks kind of cool. I don't know quite how to describe it, except it's a mix between like, it feels like a web comic, but I don't want to mean that as a disparaging way, but it kind of has that web comic-y feel, but also I want to say kind of like a Toy Story feel to it as well.
Yeah, the main character is very Buzz Lightyear coded.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that. I would describe it sort of like I would say it's like a 2010s through 2020s Cartoon Network-ish
There you go.
aesthetic.
Yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
That would be the
Like
way I would do
it's got the bright
That's a-
colors, it's got like the weird head shapes
it. Mm-hmm.
kind of going, but it's its own thing as well.
Yeah, very good. All right. Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, dear listener, for joining us. Hey, don't forget that this show is free. We send it out to everybody in the world and the universe for free every week. But, we don't have billionaire benefactors funding all of these good times. And that's where you, dear listener, can come in. You can join our Patreon for just $5 a month. You'll get bonus episodes. You get early access and other cool perks that make you feel like you're part of the Major Spoilers team. So why don't you become part of our big team? Head over to patreon.com/Major Spoilers and become a hero of the podcast today. So you are running late, and you have 3 choices from which to pick from: Burger King, McDonald's, or Wendy's, that will give you just enough time to eat before you have to sit down and record a podcast because people don't respect your time.
Right.
Which of those 3 are you picking to eat for your very fast, going to regret it later dinner?
Dinner?
I'll go ahead, Matt.
For dinner, Wendy's.
Why?
Because, for 2 reasons. Wendy's is one of the few fast food places where I can get a chicken sandwich that tastes good and also feels like it actually has some chicken to it.
Now, are you talking spicy chicken sandwich, or are you talking about the just the grilled chicken breast?
I get the bacon Asiago ranch chicken sandwich, and it has shrunk, but for dinner, I would probably go there. And also, they have better fries, especially in the evening. I have to be careful about fried stuff because I'm going to be up about 2:30 or 3 with like paralyzing, screaming pains in my stomach anyway. So if I have like the Wendy's fries, they're not going to give me the sheer amount of paralyzing screaming pain. If you were saying breakfast, it would be Burger King all the way.
Mm.
Because Burger King's breakfast menu is incredible. But
okay, Rodrigo, what about you? You've got the choice of the 3 burger joints. What are you going to choose?
There was a time in my life when I would have said Burger King all the way, but I find that Burger Kings are really just very wildly from one to the next as to how they prepare things.
Yes.
Like at McDonald's, you always know what you're getting. At Burger King, who knows? So I'm going to go with Wendy's as well because generally most Wendy's that I've been to, it's like a fine experience and anything's better than McDonald's except Burger King when Burger King is bad.
Yeah.
So if I'm in a hurry and I have to eat some fast food, which I also try to avoid, but what are you gonna do? They don't respect your time.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll definitely go to Wendy's. I'll probably get just like a single square burger or whatever they're called.
Yeah, mixed single, or not a mixed single, but a Dave single.
Dave single, yeah.
Yeah. Just something that's gonna have enough meat and bread, and then maybe some fries and a drink to like just be a block in my stomach until I'm done with whatever I need to do.
Well, I think we're going to have to go for a trifecta here because Wendy's I prefer over the others. Back in the long ago dark times, back when everything was happy and lovely, Burger King actually had a really good bacon double cheeseburger. But again, the quality of the food swings so wildly from store to store that I haven't been to a Burger King in, maybe 10 years, just because of how bad it was the last time I was there. And if you love Burger King, ladies and gentlemen, go for it. Just the one that we have in our town is open 24 hours, ? And I question some of the things that they do.
Not in a row.
No, they're open 24 hours in a row. I think the owner literally sleeps there.
There was a 24-hour Burger King in Evanston, Illinois, and that one was fine when I was going there.
Yeah.
So It just Burger King. They're all fiefdoms. It just
Yeah.
completely varies.
Yeah, I think it's based on, now they are owned by Restaurant Brands International, which also owns Popeyes and Tim Hortons and some other stuff. But again, my pick is going to be Wendy's. I really adore their spicy chicken sandwich. And you're not wrong, Matthew, on the fries, although I will say I would prefer a fry that it's been sitting out for just a little bit longer than what a lot of people are very excited about, a fresh out of the fryer kind of experience, because I've noticed that when it's fresh out of the fryer, those fries are coated in salt.
Yeah.
And that's not a great experience in my mind. But if it's sat a little while and a couple of people have been served, those fries have been shaken around and the salt's been kind of knocked off on it. So it tastes a lot better that way. I wish that most restaurants would just fry their fries just a little bit longer so they were a little bit more crispier and not so mushy in the middle. But of those three, I think Wendy's is the one to go for. What do you think, dear listener? Of those three, Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King, which one is the one you would eat at if you only had those three to choose from? You can't go and say, well, I would rather have an Arby's. Go over to our Discord server and answer which one of those three and why. We're waiting for your response. Who knows? Maybe the Burger King himself will show up in the chat and chastise you for saying bad things about him.
God, I hope
or you're going to wake up in the middle of the night with that guy wearing the creepy Burger King mask staring at you, saying, just behind the mask, the mouth not moving. Why did you badmouth me, Matthew? Why did you badmouth me on the Major Spoilers podcast? And then he chases you down the hallway that never ends. Yeah, until you die. Speaking of dying, this week on the show, the mini deaths of Laila Starr from Ram V and Felipe Andrade. This I was totally, because there was another book by another creator coming out at the same time that this one was. And because the two art styles are in the same region as each other, I thought these were by the same writer. And I was like, I'm not really into that writer's style. And so I avoided the mini deaths of Laila Starr completely. And I missed out because this is a damn fine book. This is a story about Death, who has been let go of her job up there in the heavens, and she has to go live with all the rest of the people down in Mumbai, occupying the body of a girl who recently died, Laila Starr. And the reason why Death is out of a job is because there is a person who has found the secret to immortality, and the bigwigs upstairs think that, we really don't. We're going to downsize since nobody's going to die anymore. We really don't need Death. And so Laila continues to try and find, I think his name is Derek. Is that his name? Or Darius? Darius, yeah. And each time she gets close to trying to take him out, something else takes her out, and she dies. And then she wakes up some amount of time later because life has figured out a way to bring her back. And I love this premise of Death is like, oh yeah, Death, we don't need you anymore. You're going to go down to Earth and you're going to live with the humans until you die your death. And she's like, I will find this person. She immediately wakes up in the morgue, goes running out of the hospital, bam, right into a moving truck and dies again. And then, life is like, hey, you know what? I like you, Death. I brought you back. It's been like 8 years. Here's where this Darius kid is at. Go find him. And he dies again. It's just, I love that premise of this entire story. I don't know what you guys thought of that.
It's weird for me because as a whole, I'm not necessarily someone who really hones in on themes. But, after gaming with Rodrigo for the better part of 2 decades, I really occasionally will get a theme that just really tracks and really resonates with me. And I feel like this one has it solid from the very beginning of this story. It's just like, bam, it's the cliche. This is life and death. But also, what do those mean? And I really enjoy, kind of the ruminations around that when, Death herself is out of a job, which is just incredibly depressing, by the way, in the year 2025. But I really found myself loving just the thematic solidness of it all, just that on track, that tonally, thematically, it was just every single thing that happened felt like it fit for me. It felt like this is all part of an ongoing, not real but organic narrative, and it never got that moment where I'm like, wait, why is this happening? And I don't like that. That was the thing that really stuck with me after reading through it.
Yeah. What about you, Rodrigo?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think uh it's a fun story. I think a couple of reincarnations in, I pretty much knew where it was going, but that didn't detract from it. For one, the art is really fantastic.
Mhm.
And two, even if you sort of can guess the destination, it's like in this book, literally it's the journey, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a book that hits you in the face really hard and says, it's the journey.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So yeah.
I do like that. It takes Death dying multiple times before she really kind of figures out what life is all about. I really like that. I like the one story that is kind of my favorite one is it is the second to the last reincarnation. And it's not really reincarnation because she just keeps waking up as Laila Starr in the same body, same age. She doesn't age. Everybody else does age. It's the one where she is going and sees the Tibetan temple or the Buddhist temple, and
Yeah.
the god in there is just like, oh yeah, can you go check on this old guy that has taken care of me all these years? And finds out that that guy's dead, and she goes back to tell the temple, and it's raining, and the temple's like, well, if you'd like to stay here, you can stay. There's a storm outside, and then the storm knocks over the temple and kills her.
Yeah.
I just found that one probably the saddest of all of the stories. Also because this is the first time that that's the story where she actually confronts Darius, who knows who she is and what she's all about, and kind of blames her for the death of his family, and that's kind of what kicks off his journey to discover immortality. So that was my favorite of the little vignettes that we get. Did you guys have a favorite bit?
Uh I, I don't like it when people smoke
Yeah,
around me,
yeah,
but I gotta say, having having one of the vignettes be told from the point of view of a cigarette is kind of genius,
hmm
especially the way that they handled it. So it's probably that one for me. That's the one that I enjoyed the most.
yeah. Matthew, what about you?
I don't know. For me, it didn't feel as episodic as, usually. Is this a 6-issue mini, a 5-issue mini? I can't remember. It didn't feel to me episodic when I was reading through it. And it may be because we are reading a collected edition,
Yeah,
but I was just kind of like this, just, hey man, whoa, just along for the ride. It was filled with these wonderful moments. And I think probably the one that sticks with me the most is when she's explaining that the temple collapsed because it was just too sad to go on.
hmm
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's, that's really, really deep stuff. And not in like a horrific way. I am notorious for mocking kind of, esoteric, and when you get into kind of the metaphysical theories of it. And yet, weirdly, I'm probably more into it than anyone else on the show, because I'll sit there and go, hey, man, did you hear that? Oh, yeah, I think that's right. But also, I feel like you said it best when you said this is one heck of a comic. I feel like this is a sit down and read the whole thing in one afternoon, in one
yeah,
go
yeah.
story.
Yeah. It is only 5 issues. It does read really fast, but it is some deep thought stuff.
Back in the day, the writer, who no longer speaks his name, would put out a Sandman volume every couple of years, and I would really enjoy, like, when that book came out, the collected book. I would not buy individual comics,
Mm-hmm.
and for me to say that, especially at that point in time, was just like practically blasphemous. But Just sitting down with that collected edition and going, okay, here I am. Boom, I'm immersed in this for the next 115, 120 pages. That's really what this book brought back for me. And it did it in a way that was familiar but surprising. And I feel like, yeah, this is one that I may actually, I don't usually do this, but there are a few that I've got in a little folder that I just go back and will reread some of the trade paperbacks that we reviewed for the show, just for my own personal pleasure. And this, I think, is going in that stack.
Yeah. Rodrigo, you said you really like the art. What is it about the art that you like?
There's lots of stuff that I like about it. I think that it's very distinctive. People kind of have these like weird proportions, especially, and they're like especially exaggerated in some people. There's a character that we meet very early on who is a gardener and just general like journeyman type,
right?
And his proportions are ridiculous. Like his chest is huge and his arms are extremely long, but also most of the time when we see him, it's from the point of view of a child. So it kind of leads me to think like, well, maybe he's not this weirdly proportioned. It's just this is how the child perceives them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Layla ever meets him.
Or no, she never meets what's his name, Bran or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's something about the characters, like weird proportions, that I really like. It gives them, it makes like their body language very readable and dramatic. Right? It's like when somebody points at somebody else because they have like extremely skinny and long arms, it makes it like that much more dramatic. A lot of the time, Lila's hair is like just impossibly long, like unmanageably long, right? And that also gives her this sort of supernatural air, even though she's pretty much she doesn't have any powers anymore. So yeah, there's a lot about the art, and it mostly comes down, I think, to like how weird, like purposefully weird the proportions are for everything.
Yeah, I really like the color that's used throughout this. I mean, the colors, I was trying to see if there was like a color theme that went on, and there's really not. I mean, the colors fall into semi-pastel. I mean, you have some darker colors mixed in here, but a lot of the primary colors that are used are into that pastel range. And I dig that. And then there are times when the colors just get trippy, like the cigarette tail, where everything is this psychedelic tone mapped across the entire thing. I think is really, really neat and interesting. And then it's like when you get to things that, like the buildings that are burning down in one of the stories, you expect them to be like oranges and reds, and instead they're more like a chartreuse or a pinkish red instead of red. And it's just very fascinating to see the use of colors through this. Almost like, and a couple of times when you're looking at buildings and stuff, I think part of that is driven by the fact that you're looking at the sun shining through a lot of the atmosphere and causing those light shift changes. So you go from your reds down to your purples in a lot of those cityscape scenes. And the colors for me look really, really interesting. I am not as interested in the super skinny arms thing, but I did appreciate it when we're looking at them all in God mode. Like when you see Laila with her, 6 arms, and you see the main god with his 3 faces. It looks cool. It looks cool. Matthew, do you have anything you want to say about the art?
I don't know if, as we occasionally mention on Critical Hit, I have a particularly obnoxious kind of a red-green color blindness thing going on. I find the colors in this absolutely just riveting. And I'm having how do I know the color blue that you see is the same color blue that I see situation? Because there are points in this where there's almost a 3-dimensional effect to the coloring, where otherwise it would feel like, this is a relatively flat sequence. But then, as the coloring kind of kicks in, as you mentioned in the cigarette story, and there's an alternate cover, I think for issue 4, where she's breathing out a cloud of smoke with her own head in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's her own head, where I'm just like, that is just hypnotic, just really, really fascinating, to steal your word. And it's something where I feel like the coloring deserves mentioning. A lot of times you kind of slide by, I especially will slide by coloring and go, yep, the coloring did not annoy me at any point. But in here, it was like an active player. It was almost a character in certain parts of the story. And that's really kind of remarkable in itself.
I think if there's one thing that might upset some readers is the fact that this is Hindu religion based with the gods and everything. So, it's definitely not your Judeo-Christian stories and themes that are running through this book. And so if that's what you're expecting when you get in here, that is one thing that you probably might be shocked by and you might be turned off by. I wasn't at all. I just found this super fascinating that, Death has to ride an elevator up to the top floor to meet with the main god. And it's just, and she's got like termination papers and everything. It's, it's good. It's interesting. What else do you guys want to talk about in this book?
I mean, definitely the cultural stuff I thought was interesting, right? This is pretty unapologetically Indian, right? Like, I'm sure they put in some touches and flourishes and expand some stuff. But because of that, especially if you're not super familiar with it, and I'm not super familiar with it, it creates a fun little death mythology for you, right? Like all of these things that are happening, you're like, well, why not, right? If you can have something like anything that uses Greek gods or that uses, your kind of Abrahamic core religions, why not something like this? It works just as well or better, depending on how it's written.
Yeah. So if you have not, I believe Ram V, he did a bunch of Swamp Thing stuff not too long ago, or comparatively not too long ago. A couple
years ago, did a run on Catwoman as well, and was all around in the Dark Crisis era stuff at DC.
Yeah,
I remember seeing a lot of Ram work too.
Yeah. Good writer. I did enjoy this story quite a bit. He's also from Mumbai, so that's where the story takes place. So that's good to draw upon things that for your work. So that's really cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't have a whole lot to say, except this is an experience to read. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it is literally like a opening your mind kind of experience that brings you both joy and sadness and deep thought and contemplation. If you haven't read this book, it came out in, I believe, in paperback in 2021 or 2022. And this one just slipped past my radar because I thought it was a different creator. And I kind of regret that. So I would say if you could get your hands on the mini deaths of Laila Starr, do it. It is totally worth your time and energy, and you can read it in one afternoon and still have a great experience. Matthew, final thoughts from you.
I feel like just the I don't know if it's a metaphor at the heart of this, but the fact that people say that nothing is immutable but death and taxes, and this is a story that literally starts with death getting downsized, in a parody of corporate nonsense that I'm sure many of us have lived through. I know I have been in a few call centers where I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go. I love the fact that it starts there, and that's the grounding of it. That's the point where you're like, okay, this is where it is. And then it just goes absolutely nuts. And just the authenticity of having this writer who's this familiar with the mythology, with the culture, it really is wonderful to see that come out on the page and feels so natural and so easy to engage with, because, there are times when you go into a book and I'll be like, is this for me? This absolutely is for me. I think it could be for you. I think it could be for anybody. It is a very, very good book.
Very good. Rodrigo, final thoughts from you.
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend this. I think if you want to read a concise little story about life and death and growing up and growing old, there's a lot here for you. It's a very human story that just happens to star a bunch of like gods and talking ravens and things like that.
I did enjoy the crows very much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And thank you, dear listeners, for joining us this week. Next week on the show, because Carl demanded it, we're going to be taking a look at Eden Frost. Why? Because we know that you love comics and we do too. And remember, if you got some value out of the show, patreon.com/major spoilers is where you want to go. Some cool stuff over there. And we can't wait to talk with you again very soon.
Fat Dick's revision of Superman. I could save a few bucks and stand around and read through the covers of the comics on the stand. But although every other page would be backwards, I suppose I could still read the evens and the odds. Well, I don't know. Guess I haven't thought this all the way through. Plus, as soon as the comic book store guy knew, he kicked my butt out on the corner. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. Think about a better way. If I was hulking green or gray, I could just bust through that brick wall, take their comic books away. But then the little meat would deal with all the tanks and bombs and guns. Have you ever tried to read a series with all that going on? Guess I need to rethink this plan. How would I bag and board my comics with such huge hands? Guess I already told ya. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. If I'm stark raving rich like a man of iron, I might not be surprised to find that I might actually have the heart cold to follow an entire storyline. But would I really even need to read up on all those escapades? I mean, who needs such distractions when your sister's such a babe? But the downside is such a beast. Being shot up in a fun, being the Middle East with a gang sign throwing soldier. What a major spoiler. What a major spoiler. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a major spoiler. Whoa, 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 whoa. What a major spoiler.
This podcast is copyright 2025 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.